Massive fire hits the Feathercrest farm in Texas.
Brazos County Emergency Management says 2 large metal buildings on the chicken farm caught fire. More details on this later in the news. Good evening, I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Richie Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Now for the headlines. The Philippines and Vietnam inked deals on rice trade and South China Sea security. House Speaker Martin Ramos denies any connection with the signature drive for the People's Initiative. Multiple countries freeze funding to the UN Agency for Palestinian refugees over Hamas attack allegations. U.S. Defense Chief Lloyd Austin is back at the Pentagon after secret hospital stay. And Korean stars IU and Park Bo-gum team up for a new Netflix series.
Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Nevada,
España,
Paris, France,
United Kingdom,
Washington, D.C.,
London Bureau, Papua New Guinea, in New York,
Washington, D.C.
Mata ng Agila,
Mata ng Agila.
Mata ng
Mata ng Agila International.
Trusted, connected, on point.
The Philippines and Vietnam have signed deals to boost cooperation in South China Sea security and rice trade. This is during President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s 2-day state visit to Hanoi. JD Mahinay reports.
Philippines and Vietnam have established a framework for rice cooperation between the two nations. Under the Memorandum of Understanding, Vietnam have agreed to supply the Philippine private sector with white rice for 5 years' worth of 1.5 million to 2 million metric tons yearly at a competitive and affordable price. Meanwhile, the Philippines is seeking to forge partnerships with Vietnam in its electronic vehicle industry. This is in part of the country's aim to transform the Philippines' road transport with e-vehicles by 2024. As part of his state visit, President Marcos also met with the Filipino community in Hanoi and expressed his gratitude for the efforts they poured into Vietnam.
Isang patunay na malapit na ugnayan ng ating dalawang bansa ay ang tinatawag nating people-to-people connections. At kayo, ang mga Pilipino na nandito sa Vietnam, ang patunay kung gaano kalapit ang ating mga bansa. Kaya't ako'y lubos na nagpapasalamat sa inyong lahat dahil napapadali ang aking trabaho dahil sa magandang reputasyon na itinaguyod nyo sa pamamagitan ng inyong sipag at tiyaga dito sa Vietnam.
The President also announced to the Filipinos in Vietnam the programs and projects of his administration towards the new Philippines. Manila and Hanoi also have agreed to boost cooperation between the two states' coast guards to prevent unexpected incidents in the South China Sea. No details about the agreement on South China Sea security were disclosed, as it could spark the ire of Beijing. The Philippines and China have staked their claim over some parts of the South China Sea, along with Vietnam, Malaysia, and Brunei. The Presidential Communication Office, however, disclosed that the deal on incident prevention covers enhanced bilateral coordinations regarding maritime issues within the ASEAN and other dialogue partners. JD Mahinay reporting for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
A new survey by the Octa Research Group says 49% of adult Filipinos expect their quality of life to improve in the next 6 months. This is up by 15 percentage points from October 2023 figures. 45% of the respondents said their quality of life will stay the same, while only 4% expect it to worsen in the next 6 months. The number of those who expect their lives to worsen decreased by 3 points from 7% in October 2023. Across major areas, the percentage of Filipinos who think that their quality of life will improve was highest among respondents in Visayas at 58% and the lowest in Mindanao at 40%. The same survey also found that about 38% of adult Filipinos believe that the economy of the country will get better over the next 6 months. 51% of Filipinos think that the economy will remain the same. Meanwhile, 8% believe it will worsen over the same period, and 3% answered they don't know. The Octa survey was conducted from December 10 to 14, 2023, using face-to-face interviews of 1,200 adults nationwide.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, has announced significant enhancements under the approved Rehorizon 3 of its modernization program aimed at effectively tackling evolving security threats. Defense Secretary Gilberto Chodoro Jr. earlier disclosed that President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. gave the green light to Rehorizon 3, which is designed to bolster the military's intelligence, area denial, and deterrence capabilities. AFP spokesperson Colonel Francel Margaret Padilla emphasized that the approval of adjustments to the program underscores the government's dedication to enhancing the military's capabilities and readiness. She further highlighted that these improvements will play a crucial role in fortifying Philippine defense capabilities as the AFP transitions from internal security operations to prioritizing territorial defense.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines has announced plans for the Philippine and U.S. military forces to conduct extensive military exercise in April, surpassing the scale of last year's war games.
The message that we are trying to send is that the alliance is alive and that we are always challenging ourselves. So one Balikatan is always going to be harder and more complex than the previous Balikatan. That means that in every iteration of Balikatan, you will expect something different. We want to do this because we want to avoid staleness of the exercise, and we also feel the need to challenge ourselves in being able to operate at a different level.
Last year's Balikatan saw approximately 17,600 troops from both sides participating, marking it as the largest iteration since its inception in the 1990s. However, details regarding the exact number of troops and assets involved in this year's new Balikatan remain undisclosed. The upcoming Balikatan exercises, to be held in yet to be determined areas, aim to enhance the interoperability of Filipino and U.S. troops, enabling them to effectively respond to various external threats.
In the past few years, we've seen more threats to this region than we have seen in the past several decades combined. These include challenges to the rules-based international order via provocations in the South China Sea, as well as global issues like climate change, environmental degradation, and water scarcity. The Philippines is our oldest treaty ally in East Asia and the very largest recipient of our security assistance in the Indo-Pacific region. The U.S.-Philippine alliance plays an irreplaceable role in addressing all of these threats.
The Philippine Navy said that there were 200 Chinese militia ships and 10 to 15 China Coast Guard vessels spotted in the Mischief Reef Tuesday. The Navy, however, assured that the situation is not alarming, citing that the swarm of Chinese fleets in the West Philippine Sea is considered normal. Meanwhile, the Armed Forces of the Philippines said that it will also continue with the resupply missions at the BRP Sierra Madre, despite the swarm of Chinese vessels near Ayungin Shoal. Last week, former United States Air Force official Ray Powell claimed that some 50 Chinese vessels were observed near the Ayungin Shoal. The China Coast Guard previously said it had made temporary special arrangements to enable the Philippines to proceed with the resupply mission at the BRP Sierra Madre. The Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, reaffirms its loyalty to the Constitution, saying its officials remain committed to ensure the fulfillment of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s vision for the country. The Philippine National Police, or PNP, echoes the AFP's declaration of loyalty, asserting that there is no need to conduct loyalty checks among their ranks despite the ongoing political innuendos between President Marcos and former President Rodrigo Duterte. Duterte recently appealed to the AFP and PNP to protect the Constitution and the people, claiming that efforts to amend the Constitution through the People's Initiative were flawed due to alleged signature buying.
I am calling now the armed forces and the PNP. Protect the Constitution. Trabaho ninyo yan. Huwag ninyong kalimutan. Kami, inyong dapat, you should worry about the nation. The millions of Filipinos. Huwag kayong mag-isip lang ng isang pamilya.
After Duterte's appeal, a manifesto against the People's Initiative was allegedly supported by some retired officials of the AFP and the PNP. Information said that more than 80 officials signed this manifesto, but the Armed Forces of the Philippines chose to distance itself from the issue.
We would be speaking in behalf of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. So as to the side of outside entities, sir, we cannot comment on that, sir.
For the Philippine National Police, it said that it respects the rights of each private individual.
So kakapatan po nila yan at nire-respeto po natin. Ang lagi lang nating ipinapakiusap ay wag na po na sana lang idamay pa yung mga nasa aktibo pang serbisyo, and we respect their rights and democratic space po. Pwede po nating ibigay sa kanila yan, but it does not mean that this is the sentiment of the active police officers, particularly in the PNP po.
The AFP and PNP also confirmed that there are no divisions in their ranks following the disagreements between President Marcos and former President Duterte.
Ang pinaka-keyword po dito is non-partisan po ang AFP. So we'll be continuing to have our focus in terms of yung ating mission po.
Palagi pong pinapaalala ng ating Chief PNP na dapat laging isa puso at isa isip ng ating mga pulis, na dapat alam natin yung ating mandato. Ang ating mandato ay to enforce the law at respect the rule of law. At yan pa rin po yung gagawin po ng inyong pambansang pulisya po.
Coming up, Beijing raises fears of an escalating conflict in the Gaza Strip. Australia, Italy, and others halt funding to UNRWA. And Toyota makes a major recall to thousands of vehicles. Stay tuned for more stories around the globe when we return.
Mga problemang may kinalaman sa pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay.
Ano sa palagay niyo?
Katiwalian at korupsyon sa kung saan-saan.
Ano sa palagay niyo?
Kalusugan.
Ano sa palagay niyo?
Edukasyon.
Ano sa palagay nyo?
Hanap buhay.
Ano sa palagay nyo?
Ang daming issue. Samahan ninyo sina Ali Soto at Pat P. Daza sa pagbusisi sa lahat ng yan at iba pa. Ano sa palagay nyo? Year 3 na!
back to Mata ng Agila International. China warns against a cycle of retaliation in the Middle East. The United States said it would respond to an alleged Iranian drone attack that killed 3 American troops in Jordan. Analysts said the first casualties involving Americans raised fears that conflict in the Middle East would escalate.
我们注意到美军基地遇袭造成人员伤亡的报道，也注意到伊朗表示和袭击事件无关。当前中东地区局势高度复杂敏感。 希望有关各方保持冷静克制，加强对话沟通，避免陷入报复再报复的恶性循环，防止地区紧张局势进一步升级。
A Pakistan court has handed down a 10-year jail sentence to former Prime Minister Imran Khan and Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi in connection to the leaking of state secrets. The special court delivered the verdict in the so-called cipher case, centered around a diplomatic cable that Khan insists supports his claim of a conspiracy leading to his removal from power in 2022. They found the ex-prime minister guilty of mishandling a confidential cable dispatched by a former Pakistani ambassador to the United States.
We have filed two important applications before the court. One application is about the bail of Imran Khan in this cipher issue, and the other one is about the open trial of this the cipher case. We have demanded and we have submitted to the court that we want an open trial in this case.
In addition to Khan's persistent denial of the charge, he contends that the document contains proof of a coordinated effort by his political adversaries and the influential military, allegedly aided by the U.S. administration to orchestrate his removal. Both Washington and Islamabad have refuted these allegations, dismissing any involvement in the purported conspiracy. House Speaker Martin Romualdez has been pressed on the issue of the initiatives to push charter change through the People's Initiative. This is after evidence presented to the Senate Committee on Constitutional Reforms hearing on Signature Drive confirmed that Speaker Romualdez lent his House to lead convener for People's Initiative for Modernization and Reform Action or PIRMA, Noel Oñate.
Sino may-ari ng bahay?
Si Speaker Romualdez po.
Bahay ni Speaker Romualdez.
Yes.
Ganon. So, ang naging host at nagkumbida ay si Speaker Romualdez. Tama po ba?
Ako po ang nagkumbida.
Paano ka magkukumbida? Di mo bahay.
Oñate clarified that he only coordinated with House Speaker Martin Romualdez to get 3% of signatures per congressional district for the People's Initiative for Charter Change.
I sought the help of the Speaker. Inamin ko naman po,
you've said that before.
Natulungan kami dito sa signature gathering.
Right.
Hindi naman po, tumutulong lang sila. Pero kami ang nasa forefront ng pagpapapirma. Oo. Wala naman, palagay ko, wala namang masama na tumanggap ng tulong sa mga congressmen. Dahil
Senator JB has been raising his eye.
Oñate absolved Romualdez for using funds to promote the People's Initiative. He added that they funded to release the EDSA Puera commercial amounting to 55 million pesos on some media networks. But when Senator Marcos asked for the receipts and other documentary requirements, the group could not present anything. The group insisted that it was given in cash, as this is the trend in politics. Witnesses have also appeared before the Senate who confirmed that there was a payment in place of a signature. This includes 1,500 pesos and other aid as part of a government agency project. Senator Marcos emphasized that the Senate will continue to monitor even if the COMELEC has suspended the process of verifying the collected signatures. The public remains unsure that the People's Initiative promoters will not revive it.
Maaring masaya tayo ngayon dahil akala natin na pagpahinga na natin ang usapin ng PI nila. Pero hanggat hindi natin ito naihihimlay, babangon po muli ito upang maging multo. Karamdamang mabilis na ipakalat na sa pamagitan ng pantatanga sa kapwa, paglulustay ng salapi, at pagsisinungaling ng matatakaw na opisyal. Yang sakit na yan ang papatay sa demokrasya. At ang sino man magsabi na walang paki ang Senado sa usaping ito, isa lang ang masasabi ko, walang gamot sa kakapalan ng mukha mo.
Meanwhile, House Speaker Romualdez has responded to the statement against him in the hearing held by the Senate Committee on Electoral Reforms. In a statement, the Speaker clarified his connection with the Pirma, and I quote, "As Speaker of the House, I am committed to upholding the principles of democracy and facilitating discussions on matters of national interest. The meeting with the People's Initiative representatives was an exercise in this commitment. My role, as misinterpreted by some, is not as an orchestrator, but as a facilitator for healthy democratic processes." Romualdez also denied the said payment for collecting signatures as it is against his principles.
The South Korean government urged Japanese Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa to immediately retract her claim of territorial sovereignty over Dokdo in her parliamentary speech. The Dokdo is South Korea's easternmost sovereign islets. A statement issued by South Korean Foreign Ministry reads, and I quote, "The government strongly protests against the repeated unjust territorial claims by the Japanese government regarding Dokdo, which is undeniably our distinct territory historically, geographically, and under international law." Kamikawa's parliament speech marks the 11th consecutive year since 2014 where a Japanese foreign minister has made such claims during an annual parliamentary speech outlining Japan's foreign policy objectives. The South Korean government also reaffirmed its stance on the Japanese top diplomat's declared pursuit to recognize gold and silver mines on the island of Sado, where Koreans were forced to work during World War II, as a World Heritage Site. During her speech, Kamikawa expressed her commitment to fulfilling her role to that end by engaging in ongoing respectful discussions with relevant countries. But Tokyo has been criticized for intentionally leaving out mention of forced mobilization in the Sado mine. South Korea's foreign ministry clarified that the Sado mine shares a painful history of forced labor similar to Japanese modern industrial facilities.
Prime Minister Rishi Sunak says the UK will introduce legislation to ban disposable e-cigarettes in order to tackle a rise in youth vaping. Pre-filled disposable e-cigarettes, known as puffs, are popular with young people. They have high nicotine content, come in many flavors, and are cheap. The government cited recent figures showing the proportion of vapers under the age of 18 who use disposables has increased almost ninefold in the last 2 years. Sunak's government plans to introduce fines for shops in England and Wales that sell vapes illegally to children. Health experts welcomed the proposal, saying the legislation would have a major public health impact across many future generations. Last year, Sunak announced plans to eventually make the UK a smoke-free nation. He says that smoking is responsible for 1 hospital admission every minute in the UK. The World Health Organization reports that the sale of all vapes is currently banned in over 30 countries. 79 other countries regulate them through legislation, while 84 countries have no bans or regulations in place.
The Pentagon reiterates that the U.S. does not want to see a widening of the conflict in the Middle East. The Pentagon says, however, that a drone attack on a base in Jordan that killed 3 American troops is escalatory.
Deputy Press Secretary Sabrina Singh says from October 17 to January 29th, the Pentagon has been tracking approximately 165 attacks against the U.S. Singh says that there are 66 in Iraq, 98 in Syria, and the one yesterday, the fatal drone attack in Jordan killing 3 American soldiers. The Pentagon qualifies the latest attack as escalatory.
We don't want to see a widening of this conflict. We don't see this conflict widening as it still remains contained to Gaza. But this attack was certainly escalatory in that it killed 3 service members.
Singh attributes the attack to Iran-backed militia.
In terms of attribution for the attack, we know this is an IRGC-backed militia. It has the footprints of Kataib Hezbollah, but not making a final assessment on that. Our teams here are continuing to do the analysis.
The White House says President Joe Biden is weighing his options for what it describes as a very consequential answer to the drone attack in Jordan. The 3 U.S. troops were the first to die in hostile action since the start of the Israel-Hamas war on October 7. EJ Gonzalez from Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
The Illinois Board of Elections is scheduled to vote on Tuesday to determine whether to keep former United States President Donald Trump on the state's primary ballot. In early January, 4 Illinois registered voters challenged Trump's eligibility on the ballot. They argued that Trump's alleged role in the January 6 riot on the Capitol was a form of engaging in an insurrection. Under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, those who take part in insurrections or aid enemies of the United States government are prohibited from taking office. The attempt to keep Trump's name off the Illinois March 19 primary ballot is similar to legal efforts that occurred in Colorado and Maine. The 8-member Illinois Election Board is split evenly between Democrats and Republicans. A majority vote is needed to remove Trump's name off the ballot. But if the vote is tied, the effort fails, and Trump's name would remain on the ballot. A growing number of donor countries have said they will freeze funding to the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees. This following Israel's allegations that staff members took part in Hamas's October 7 attack. In light of Israel's allegations against UNRWA, the UN agency fires several people. The head of UNRWA vows to hold accountable any employee found to have been involved in acts of terror. In an Israeli document, 12 UN staffers are named as being involved in the October 7th attack of Hamas against Israel. 7 of the employees are accused of crossing into Israel during the attack. From the 7, 2 are alleged to have kidnapped or assisted in the abduction of Israelis. Another 2 are said to have participated in raids on farming villages. And 1 is said to have armed himself with an anti-tank missile the night before the attack. UN Chief Antonio Guterres promises an independent review of UNRWA. He pleads with countries not to cut funding to the agency. The United States, France, Britain, Germany, Canada, Australia, and Japan are among at least the 12 countries who have said they will suspend funding pending further investigation.
Qatar's prime minister warns of the impact of the attack that killed 3 U.S. troops in Jordan. The U.S. blames the attack on Iran-backed militants. Jeff Sanidad reports.
Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani warns of the impact the drone attack in Jordan that killed U.S. soldiers could have.
Actually, what we've been warning from is the bigger picture in the region, and we've been warning from day one that this war has a potential of expanding and spill over in the region, and we are seeing this building up, unfortunately, in the last 3 months and a half. I hope that nothing would undermine the efforts that we are doing or jeopardize the process, yet it will definitely have an impact on it, and will, one way or another, it will have an impact on the regional security, and we hope that things get contained and not to get escalated beyond control.
The Qatari Prime Minister says he expressed his condolences to Secretary Blinken.
I express my condolences today to the Secretary in our meeting for the loss of the 3 soldiers, and we are hoping that the injured will...
To Secretary Blinken?
To the Secretary Blinken, yeah, will recover soon. And of course, the attack that happened in Jordan is condemned, infringing Jordan's sovereignty.
Asked if Qatar is ready to pressure Hamas if they say no to a proposed deal, The premier says his country is not a superpower that can impose on any party. He says Qatar is using its good offices to connect, to bridge gaps, to put solutions, to come up with some alternatives, which he adds are ways that have worked before. Qatar, Egypt, and the U.S. have led mediation effort since war broke out on October 7 between Israel and Hamas. Jeff Sanidad for Matanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has unveiled Italy's ambitious development plan for Africa during a summit gathering leaders from across the continent.
Il nostro futuro dipende inevitabilmente anche dal futuro del continente africano. Consapevoli di questo, noi vogliamo fare la nostra parte e abbiamo così deciso di avviare un ambizioso programma di interventi che sia capace di aiutare il continente a crescere e prosperare partendo dalle sue immense risorse. Tutto questo è l'ossatura del progetto strategico italiano che chiamiamo Piano Mattei per l'Africa.
The plan's objectives outlined during the Italy-Africa Summit encompass reducing migrant numbers, diversifying energy sources, and fostering a mutually beneficial relationship between Europe and Africa.
Il Piano Mattei risponde anche a questa esigenza e può contare su una dotazione iniziale di oltre 5,5 miliardi di euro tra crediti, operazioni a dono e garanzie, dei quali circa 3 miliardi verranno destinati dal Fondo Italiano per il Clima e circa 2 miliardi e mezzo dalle risorse della cooperazione allo sviluppo.
European and United Nations officials lauded the Italian initiative, noting its alignment with ongoing efforts focused on climate adaptation and the promotion of clean energy in Africa.
The new Mattei plan comes as an important contribution to this new phase of our collaboration. And it comes complementary to our European Global Gateway. Global Gateway, as you know, is the 150 billion euro investment plan for Africa. And this is plain and simply Team Europe at work.
However, African Union Commission Chairman Moussa Faki Mahamat struck a more cautious tone, emphasizing the importance of prior consultation with African nations. Faki, Chad's former prime minister, said, and I quote, "We need to pass from words to deeds. You can understand that we cannot be happy with promises that often are not maintained."
Toyota remains the world's #1 biggest automaker by sales. Despite beating its German rival Volkswagen for the 4th consecutive year, Toyota faces a new problem. The car company announced a do not drive advisory, recalling 50,000 vehicles in the United States over fears of airbag injury or deaths. Toyota says if the airbag deploys, a part inside is more likely to explode and shoot sharp metal fragments. Reports show that since 2009, more than 30 deaths have been linked to airbag inflators made by Takata. The recall includes a 2003 to 2004 model Corolla and Corolla Matrix, as well as a 2004 to 2005 RAV4. This week, Toyota suspended shipments of some vehicles due to irregularities in certification tests for diesel engines. A Hong Kong court ordered the liquidation of China's property giant, Evergrande. Judge Linda Chan said enough is enough after Evergrande repeatedly failed to present a restructuring proposal. Court records show Evergrande has debts of over $325 billion. Evergrande shares fell by more than 20% in Hong Kong after the liquidation announcement. Liquidation is a process where a company's assets are seized and sold off. The proceeds can then be used to repay outstanding debts. Evergrande's executive director, Sean Su, said the court's decision was regrettable, adding that their company would continue to operate in mainland China. Su also clarified that the firm's Hong Kong arm was independent of its mainland business.
Up next, intense rainfall brings flash flooding to Southeast Queensland. Colombian police have seized a woman for smuggling poisonous frogs in her luggage. And Elon Musk and Neuralink have made a major breakthrough. Please don't go away. We've got more stories when Mata ng Agila International returns.
We are honored and privileged to share with you the highlights of the first ever Open for Business Trailblazers Awards. This milestone for the network and the program is a testament to your continued support for businesses in the Philippines, as well as government initiatives to help MSMEs navigate the local market.
Open for Business with Cesar Vallejos, Sunday, 9 p.m. Excited ka na bang malaman kung ikaw ang nanalo ng mga exciting prizes na ito sa ating Net25 Selfie with the Agila promo? Abangan ang nalalapit na announcement ng winners sa Love, Polybet, and Everything kada umaga at ESPN. Kaya naman tumutok lang dito sa Net25.
In Australia, residents of Southeast Queensland battle flash floods as thunderstorms batter the region overnight. In Brisbane, Emmy Capilita-Roja has that story.
After a night of torrential downpours and thunderstorms, Southeast Queensland grapples with rising floodwaters and the threat of further storms. The Bureau of Meteorology, or BOM, predicts continued showers with a chance of thunderstorms, mostly in the north, although the intensity is expected to ease later today. Despite the forecast, residents remain cautious, especially after Monday's deluge that inundated streets, cut off roads, and triggered 13 swiftwater rescues by the Queensland Fire and Emergency Services, or QFES. Schools in 14 locations remain closed, and floodwaters continue to disrupt traffic across the region. Samford, northwest of Brisbane, bore the brunt of the onslaught, recording over 300 millimeters of rain in just 3 hours. The Bureau warns that the heavy rains are moving north, targeting the Sunshine Coast and Bundaberg. A surface trough lurking over the region is the culprit, potentially unleashing flash floods with rainfall exceeding 200 millimeters in localized areas. Adding to the concerns, ex-cyclone Kirili lingers in northwest Queensland, dumping more rain as it creeps westward. Authorities urge residents to stay vigilant, monitor weather warnings, and avoid flooded areas. BOM provides real-time updates, and the QFES stands ready to respond to emergencies. As Southeast Queensland navigates its weather event, the threat of flooding remains top of mind, with both immediate and ongoing recovery efforts in focus. From Brisbane, Australia, Emmy Capilita-Roja for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Another calamitous occurrence, a massive fire erupted at the Feathercrest farm in Texas. Brazos County Emergency Management said 2 large metal buildings on the chicken farm caught fire. Brazos County Sheriff's Department advised motorists not to stop along the road as some surrounding roads may still be affected. The Feather Crest Farm said no casualties were reported in the incident. Authorities said the cause of the fire is still not known.
Colombian authorities have seized 130 trafficked poisonous frogs at the Bogota airport. Police arrested a Brazilian woman carrying the amphibians. Reports said that the woman was transporting the colorful harlequin poison frogs inside film containers on her way to Sao Paulo. According to the authorities, the woman insisted that the frogs were gifts that a local community gave. Experts said harlequin frogs are venomous, measure less than 5 centimeters, and live in damp forests along the Pacific coast between Ecuador and Colombia. They can also be found in other countries in Central and South America. Animal trafficking is common in Colombia, as the country is one of the most biodiverse nations in the world. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin returns to work at the Pentagon Monday. This following a hospitalization from complications from cancer treatment that he initially failed to disclose to the President and Congress. Austin's return comes a day after a deadly attack on American troops in the Middle East. He is due to meet a NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg for bilateral talks. The Defense Department says the Secretary has been conducting his duties from home since his release from Walter Reed National Military Medical Center on January 15, 2024. The 70-year-old career soldier initially underwent minor surgery to treat prostate cancer on December 22. However, on January 1, he was readmitted due to complications including nausea and severe pain. The White House was not informed about Austin's hospitalization until January 4. Congress was not told until the following day, and Biden did not learn of the cancer diagnosis until January 9. Austin made his first public appearance since his hospitalization last week, speaking via video link from his residence at the opening of a meeting on aid for Ukraine. Republican lawmakers have called for Austin to be sacked, but U.S. President Joe Biden says he remains confident in his defense secretary.
U.S. authorities have announced significant progress in the investigation into the discovery of 6 bodies in the Southern California desert last week. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department has reported the arrest of 5 suspects at an illegal cannabis cultivation site currently under development. They believe the recent killings are linked to the suspects arrested and likely stem from a dispute related to an illicit marijuana trade. Officials found the bodies in the Mojave Desert outside El Mirage after responding to a wellness check request. All 6 victims succumbed to gunshot wounds, with 4 of them also being burned. After receiving confirmation from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration last year, Neuralink, the company founded by tech billionaire Elon Musk, has announced the first human recipient of their brain chip implant. The company's goal of achieving a symbiosis with artificial intelligence has reached a new peak after Musk declared the results of the first brain chip implanted in a human patient. In a statement posted on X, Musk shared that his first product produced by Neuralink, coined telepathy, would enable control of almost any device just by thinking. He also adds that the patient is recovering well and that initial results have detected promising neuron spikes or nerve impulses, which would help people with quadriplegia or multiple limb paralysis to actively communicate. Neuralink received the green light from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, to test the chip on humans after struggles to gain approval last year hindered a critical milestone for the startup. Promises of higher accuracy and degree of precision rival the company's early competitors, who have already emerged to commercialize a brain chip implant system. A patient registry for potential participants has been set up by Neuralink to learn whether they qualify for the study. As of now, the details of the surgery come only from Musk's tweets, while the place of the trials and the total number of patients have yet to be specified.
Coming right up, King Charles III and Kate, Princess of Wales, have been released from the hospital. The icon of the seas makes its maiden voyage. And Korean celebrities IU and Park Bo-gum are set to star in a new Netflix series. Catch the latest in sports and entertainment. Mata ng Agila International will be back.
Having us. Finally. Naging kami, di ba? That was 1999. So we were together in 1999. And then parang mga 10 months lang yun. Tapos naghiwalay kami. Bakit? Tan. Pero the next date namin, bigla may dala na siyang ring.
Lahat gusto siya eh. Kapatid ko, nanay ko, sila Tita May gusto siya. So, and me also.
Ang haba ng and me also. Biglang pumara siya sa isang part ng kalye na, ano, pakikuha mo nga yung bag sa likod, parang may attache case daw sa likod. Kinuha ko naman, tapos binuksan ko. Buksan ko daw, sabi niya, or binuksan niya. Tapos biglang meron siyang ring na dala. And then sabi niya, that's my past and my present, and I hope you can be my future. Kasi nandun sa attache case na yun, lahat ng kontrata.
Yung muna kayo.
Hindi biro yung 22 years na married. 22 years is 22 years, diba? Kailangan nyo ng patience and constant communication.
Ito po si Gara Estrada.
And I'm Bernadette Allison Estrada, and we're inviting everyone to watch us this Saturday sa
Magandang Araw.
Here on Net 25. Magandang araw!
Together, so Net 25.
King Charles was released from the hospital after undergoing surgery for an enlarged prostate. King Charles left the hospital's front entrance with his wife, Queen Camilla. Buckingham Palace said the king thanked his medical team and all those involved in supporting his hospital visit. The palace said the king has also rescheduled his public engagements to allow for a period of private recuperation.
Sources say Prince William has temporarily stepped back from his royal duties to care for Princess Kate after her recent surgery. Kate was released from the hospital in London after she underwent abdominal surgery. And royal sources say Prince William is prioritizing supporting her and won't return to public engagements until Princess Kate is settled. Social media reports, or some media reports, also said that Prince William visited Kate nearly every day at the hospital, slipping in quietly to spend time with her.
The world's largest cruise ship, the Royal Caribbean Group's Icon of the Sea, has embarked on its inaugural journey from Miami, Florida, raising concerns about its methane emissions. The vessel measures an impressive 365 meters in length with 20 decks and a capacity to accommodate up to 7,600 passengers. It is set to embark on a 7-day island hopping voyage in the Caribbean. Environmentalists caution about the potential for methane emissions due to the vessel utilizing a liquefied natural gas engine, which is believed to burn more cleanly compared to traditional marine fuels like fuel oil. They argue that some gas could escape during operation, leading to methane leakage into the atmosphere. Methane is more potent as a greenhouse gas compared to carbon dioxide.
The multinational girl group Vcha is owning this year as the new era of representation within K-pop's growing global industry as they debut their newly released single, Girls of the Year. Vcha is reshaping the global music scene with their debut title track, Girls of the Year, which marks the latest impact in K-pop's rapid rise during the last 3 decades. Named by Grammy.com as one of the 25 artists to watch in 2024, Vcha's upbeat bubblegum pop anthem is set to inspire and empower the new generation without the bounds of language and cultural barriers. The group began from the collaboration of JYP Entertainment and Republic Records that launched the A2K, or America to Korea competition series, aimed to create the first American artist made out of the K-pop system. Culminated from the competition are the 6 members ranging from 14 to 18 years old, namely Lexi, Camilla, Kendall, Savannah, KG, and Kaylee, who have various ethnic backgrounds of white American, Black American, Latino, Korean, Hmong, and Vietnamese. Their unconventional training and multinational aspect help create an evolutionary definition of K-pop as it changes JYP and Republic Records' traditional way of launching their stars. Joined by the good company of the signees like Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, ITZY, and Stray Kids, Vcha is also bound to become opening acts of their label mates twice in their upcoming international shows at Las Vegas, Mexico City, and Sao Paulo.
IU and Park Bo-gum will star in a new Netflix series. Titled as When Life Gives You Tangerines, Netflix says this series is set in the 1950s in Jeju Island. IU will play the role of Ai-soon, who will fall in love with Bo-gum's character, Gwan-sik. Further details, including its release date, are yet to be announced. IU and Park Bo-gum recently worked together for the show. Thank you for your hard work.
The Boys actress Erin Moriarty quit social media over harassment, telling fans to consider Instagram account deactivated. The 29-year-old The Boys actress shared a lengthy Instagram post on Friday announcing her decision to quit social media after experiencing cyberbullying over her alleged cosmetic surgery. On the January 17 episode of The Megyn Kelly Show, former Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly showed a before and after photo of Moriarty as part of her commentary on society's obsession with cosmetic surgery. Kelly alleged that the actress had plastic surgery to completely change her face. Moriarty fired back at Kelly, saying that the accusations were utterly misinformed, inaccurate, and clickbait. The actress defended herself, saying that the after photo was the result of makeup with major contouring. In her last Instagram post before deactivating, she also wrote, "I am horrified by the reaction, the reductive assumptions, and the aforementioned video that is a prime example of such harassment. It's broken my heart. You've broken my heart. You've lost the privilege of this account." Moriarty said she would be taking an extensive, if not permanent, break from social media.
I think she was only exercising her freedom of choice, don't you believe?
Yes, and there is so much hate on social media, so I think that was best for her mental health as well.
Definitely. And to send you off today, here's a quote from American activist and civil rights leader Rosa Parks. I have learned over the years that when one's mind is made up, this diminishes fear.
And I will admit, I'm a highly indecisive person, and I think that indecisiveness is the fear of making the wrong choice, right? So it's good to also just go with your gut sometimes, right?
That's true. And that's where the fun is, right? And of course, years and years from now, things will be different, and with experiences that you've gone through, it will make you a better, stronger person with a stronger resolve. So that time will come for you.
I agree. I think that, you know, that courage comes with time as well and experience.
Exactly. And before we say goodnight, for those of you who are still on the road, tune in to Eagle FM 95.5.
Also catch the latest updates on our social media channels. Thank you for joining us tonight. I am Gianna Lianes.
And I am Nina Richie Alago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point. Thank you for choosing Mata ng Agila International as your trusted news source, keeping you connected to the world and on point with stories from around the globe. Follow, like, and subscribe to @Net25 TV.